Welcome to the Application Lab. Today, we are reviewing the real estate recovery account. Now, by the time we wrap up this explainer, you're going to understand exactly what this account is, why it matters so much, and, of course, the key details you absolutely need to remember. We're taking a really straightforward, structured study guide approach today to make sure these concepts are super easy to remember. We'll cover what the account actually is, 2, qualifying for a claim, 3, key deadlines and limits, 4, consequences for the licensee, and 5, a quick exam recap. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, what is the account? Here's the simple version. Imagine a client hands over a massive earnest money deposit in totally good faith, right? And then, poof, their real estate agent simply vanishes. Well, the real estate recovery account is essentially a financial safety net for that victim. It's basically a fund that compensates victims who haven't been able to collect a court-awarded payment that's owed to them by an at-fault real estate licensee. So if a judge rules that an agent owes a victim money because of some seriously bad behavior, but that agent simply can't or won't pay up, this account steps in to make the victim whole. Now, you might be wondering, where does this giant pool of money actually come from? Well, it's sustained directly by taking a percentage of the licensing fees paid by all real estate professionals in the state. Think about the weight of that for a second. The real estate industry itself pays into this fund to protect the public from the few bad apples out there. Honest agents literally foot the bill for the dishonest ones. It's kind of wild when you think about it. Moving right along to Section 2, qualifying for a claim. So, what kind of bad behavior actually triggers a payout from this account? Well, there are 4 specific, really serious offenses that allow a victim to apply for these funds. We're talking about fraud or the intent to defraud, misrepresentation, deceit, and the theft, which, in legal terms is often called conversion, of trust funds. So you can't just apply because a real estate deal didn't go the way you hoped, right? If the licensee's actions fall specifically into one of these 4 categories, and the victim has a final court judgment that they just can't collect, then, and only then, are they eligible to file a claim. All right, Section 3, key deadlines and limits. Let's shift our focus to the most highly tested numbers associated with this account. Listen, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, you need to sear this core memory aid into your brain for the exam. The phrase is 1 year, 6 months, 50/250. Seriously, say it out loud to yourself a few times. 1 year, 6 months, 50/250. Okay, let's break down exactly what each piece of this little puzzle actually means. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how strictly these deadlines govern the victim's timeline. The 1 year part, that refers to the time a victim has to apply to receive payment after the date of the judgment or restitution order. You have exactly 1 year to get that paperwork submitted. No exceptions. Now, if for some reason that application gets denied, well, that's when the 6 months kicks in. That is the exact window of time the victim has to appeal that denial decision. Next up, we have the 5 part of our memory aid, which stands for $50,000. And to put that into perspective, this is the absolute maximum payout limit per transaction. So even if the court awarded a victim, say, $100,000 for a single fraudulent deal, the recovery account is only going to pay out a maximum of $50,000 for that specific transaction. That's the hard cap. And finally, the 250 part. This represents $250,000. This is the absolute maximum payout limit per licensee, and that's regardless of how many transactions or how many different victims are actually involved. Basically, once the account has paid out a total of $250,000 on behalf of one specific at-fault real estate agent, the account is completely tapped out for that person. The well is dry. Which brings us to Section 4, consequences for the licensee. So what actually happens to the real estate agent who caused this whole mess in the first place? Well, the system heavily holds these professionals accountable. The agent definitely does not get off the hook just because the fund stepped in to pay the victim. Nope, not a chance. The licensee is legally required to pay back the fund entirely, and here's the kicker, they have to pay it back with interest added on top. So the crucial point is that the agent's real estate license is completely suspended. They literally can't practice real estate, they can't represent clients, and they sure can't earn any commissions until that debt to the recovery account is settled in full. And yes, that includes all of that accumulated interest we just talked about. For anyone trying to build a career in real estate, this is a massive career-ending stop sign until the debt is totally cleared. All right, Section 5, quick exam recap. Let's lock in this knowledge with a final review checklist. Here is your primary exam tip for today. You absolutely must memorize 1 year, 6 months, 50 to 50. Furthermore, always remember the strict suspension rule. The at-fault agent's license is automatically suspended until the account is repaid with interest. For sure, these two facts are the absolute most likely topics to pop up on a test regarding the recovery account. Let's rapidly run through our final checklist so you have all the key facts consolidated in one spot. The account compensates victims of fraud, misrepresentation, deceit, or theft of trust funds. Got it? Victims have 1 year to apply after a judgment and 6 months to appeal a denial. Payouts are firmly capped at a $50,000 maximum per transaction and a $250,000 maximum per licensee. And finally, the at-fault agent's license is completely suspended until they pay the fund back in full with interest. Before we wrap up, really ask yourself, would you ever risk losing your license, your reputation, and your entire livelihood over an unpaid judgment? It's pretty scary stuff, right? It's a stark reminder to always keep your ethics in check, safeguard your client's trust, and always conduct your business above board. Follow the Application Lab for real estate concepts made simple.